Welcome to Season 4 of the M-W Tactical Podcast. Sit back and enjoy the conversations of Rockstar Burst and myself, Michael Woodland, as we discuss the sport of shooting, goals, training, community matters, and everyday life. You are listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. All right, good people. We're back at it again, and we just returned from a 2-week break. And the holiday break was a good one in a sense of speaking, but we are back and I am happy. And we get to talk gun stuff and other stuff I done over the holidays in relation to firearms. Once again, I want to thank everyone for joining us, especially those listeners around the world. I got an email from someone down in Mexico saying they liked the show. So that made me smile, and I was happy to hear that one. Now, this week's show is brought to you in part by Hunter HD Gold. Hunter HD's Gold slogan is, they change so you don't have to. And you have to put these glasses on to see the effects for yourself. And when I tell you these glasses are remarkable, you won't believe how remarkable they are. So I've always told everybody, and if you heard past shows, I will tell you that if you're driving in the rain, they cut through the rain. If you put them on first thing in the morning, you get like 45 minutes to an hour more sunlight than you would with conventional glasses. But head on over to hunterhdgold.com and check out the line they have between their ruby reds and the gold editions. Now, I never put on a pair of the ruby red. Well, I did put on a pair of ruby reds, but it was only for like 3 seconds. And it was kind of dark, but it was misty outside. So I really couldn't get the true effects of it, but I never shot at them. But hit up Brian Conley over at Hunter HD Gold, and he will work with you as far as you getting a pair of glasses that works best for your needs. HunterHDGold.com is the sponsor for this week's show. Now, of course, you already know you can watch and listen to this podcast on YouTube. And if you're listening to us on your favorite streaming platform, once again, thank you. So please go and hit that follow or subscribe button, depending on which service you use. And if you're on Spotify, you can also watch this recording taking place right now. So if you want to check out that feature, please head on over to Spotify and you can watch us just like you're watching us on YouTube. Now, I did not nag Rockstar over the break. So I figured since we was on break and she wasn't working, there was no need for me to do the troll status on her. So I did not nag her. I think I wrote her 2 or 3 times, said Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. But that was it. But since we're back at it again, troll status is going to start every day from here on out. So without further ado, bringing forth the lovely co-host of the M-W Tactical Podcast, Rockstar. What's going on there with you, Miss Rockstar?
Oh, you know, just a chilly day in Wisconsin.
Yeah, you can keep that up there.
Send some of that sunshine my way. It is not it's sunny here, but it is freezing.
Yeah, well, you know, down here in the region that I'm at in Columbia, South Carolina, we go through 4 seasons in about a week. So you practically got to carry a change of clothes with you when you go out.
Gotta wear your layers.
Yeah, actually, that's actually what I do. When I leave the house, you know, of course, you know, I'm wearing, you know, pants and a short sleeve shirt, but I keep a hoodie, a windbreaker, and then another heavier jacket all in the vehicle. You don't know what you're going to run into when you walk out the house. 2 o'clock, it might be snowing.
Right?
Yeah, it's crazy. So how was your Christmas break?
It was really good. I spent a lot of time with family and friends and ate a lot of food and drank a lot of warm toasty drinks and got some cool Christmas presents. And I had a really fun New Year's Eve with some friends that I've been friends with for almost 20 years. So it was just had a really good time, kind of decompressing and relaxing and setting some new goals for 2022. So it was productive, yet also restful, and I just feel very recharged, and I'm excited for the new year.
Nice. Well, of course, I hung out with the little assistant. That's always a featured treat to be a part of. Her little self, she wanted to do all these videos, but I think we only done maybe 2 videos, and I put up one. Okay. And that one, I was talking smack to my buddies about competition. Shooting. So she wanted to actually help with that one, because she specifically asked, can I do a video? And I was like, well, you can do this video, you know.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. She's something funny, her sense of humor. As far as getting anything, I didn't get anything for Christmas, because once again, you know, I don't specifically ask people like, oh, get me this, or I want this. I'm just not a big gift guy. You know, I would rather give than give. I would rather give than get. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always been like that, you know, my whole life. But I said, if anybody wants to get me anything, you can get some sport pistol gunpowder, some primers, CCI 500 or federal, whatever number it is for small pistol primers.
Yes.
Yeah, you can always get me that stuff. I'll always be gracious for that.
I know. At some point, it's like you kind of have everything. Like this year, my mom always gets me. My dad just smiles and is like, "Oh, that's what you got her." He has no part in it. He just, you know, sign his name and sit by the tree and watch us open presents. But my mom is very much a gift giver, which is nice. But I am kind of at the point in my life where I don't really need a whole lot of stuff anymore. I sort of, like, you know, I've lived on my own forever, so it's like I don't need a lot of stuff. I have a ton of clothes. My mom usually gets like a set of pajamas, and then this year she actually got me some wooden kitchen spoons, and which I actually really like. So I like to make soups, and I like to cook quite a bit. So she did get me some cool kitchen gadgets, which was nice. But I'm just at the point where I'm like, I don't really, like, you don't need to get me stuff. I don't need any. My closet is full. I have all the toys that I want. I just, you know what I mean? It's
right.
I appreciate it, but I don't have a lot of room for any more stuff.
Well, you know, for me, like I said, I never liked the surprise effect, you know?
Yeah.
But like I said, ever since I was a little kid, I never really wanted anything. And if I wanted something specific, I would always ask for it.
Sure.
But I wouldn't wait for the end of the year to ask for it, but I would just always ask for it. Yeah. So, but yeah, there's a lot that's been going on since our last show, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And contrary to the belief, I did not really research anything. I do know that there was a decision made with the sentencing of the Arbery trial. I heard a little bit of talk about some legislations amongst certain states as far as expanding gun rights. And then, of course, you know, the political nonsense that's going on, you know, back and forth between Senate and House Democrats and Republicans. And then, of course, you know, the ongoing topic for the past year or so is COVID. But outside of that, I really haven't turned the TV on for news, and when I did hear something, it was either me driving and I heard it over the radio, or I seen it on Facebook, you know, but I really didn't put forth any effort to really look forward to anything, you know.
I know. Well, it's been weird too, because I feel like it's sort of been same old. There hasn't really been, like, yes, I saw the, you know, the sentencing for the Arbery trial, but by and large, it's sort of just like business as usual in the country at the moment. Like, just, you know, it's kind of the same stuff that's been has been going on. I don't really feel like there's been any sort of breaking news or I don't know. Maybe we're just like so tuned out at this point because it's just been so so repetitive that it's like, well, cool. The world is still on fire and we're still here. So what else can we talk about?
Yeah. So well, let's do this then. Let's take a break and we'll dive into this commercial break because we just got off of a 2-week break. So I don't think we need another break right now. But yeah, let's dive into this commercial break and let's start it off with America being tuned out. And let's see what we can come up with during that discussion. All right. So if everybody will, please stay in your seats. If you're driving, adjust your sunglasses. If it's raining, turn on those windshield wipers, hit the brakes, slow it down. And here are a few words from our sponsors.
Hey everyone, John from Outdoor Dynamics here. We're a remanufacturer of ammunition based in Kannapolis, North Carolina. We make everything from 9mm 115 grain to specialized 40 Smith & Wesson. So if you have anything from an open gun to just a standard Glock 19, feel free to reach out to us at outdoordynamics.net, or we're on Instagram and Facebook with outdoor.dynamics. And we're always here for you. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Are you in the market to purchase your first or next firearm, but find the atmosphere of a gun store intimidating, crowded, or uninviting? There's a way for you to purchase the gun you want while avoiding the crowds, the gruff salesmen, and the marked up prices that come with a brick and mortar gun store. The process is called a transfer, where the purchase is made at an online store and sent to a federally licensed middleman called an FFL, who processes the paperwork and background check for a firearm purchase. CAE Transfers is the FFL with the lowest transfer cost in the Midlands at only $20 or $15 with the presentation of a South Carolina concealed weapons permit and $10 for repeat customers. If you live in Columbia, South Carolina or its surrounding areas, choose CAE Transfers as your FFL during checkout and let me help you complete your online gun purchase. You can find and follow CAE Transfers online at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using @CAE Transfers. Thank you for your business, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
All right, good people, we're back at it again, and thank you for listening to that break. So the few sponsors that you heard during that commercial break, if you will, please head on over to their website or social media and tell them you heard about them, or you heard about their product from the M-W Tactical podcast. Yeah, I can't even get my words straight right now. I was hanging out with John from Outdoor Dynamics over the weekend, and out in that cold weather, we were shooting a match, and I think I might be coming down with like a cold or something. You know, can't get my thoughts wrapped around the right sentence spacing that I want to do. Like I'm all jacked up right now. Need some orange juice.
Yeah, get your vitamin C.
Yeah, I gotta do something. You know. Now, before we left off for the commercial break, we said you mentioned you think America's kind of tuned out, and I want to get your take on why you think America's somewhat tuned out.
Ooh, well, I think a lot of reasons. The one that comes to mind the most, so this happened over the break. The CDC changed its COVID guidelines as far as quarantining, and it went from 10 days down to 5 days. And there's speculation that Delta Airlines had quite a bit to say as to why they should change the quarantine timeline, and it may or may not have been about health reasons. And obviously the Omicron variant is spreading at an alarming rate. And I think people are for sure losing trust in the information that the CDC has sort of said. And I think they've had a rocky start from the get-go. Obviously, anytime you're in some sort of crisis or pandemic, it's information is coming in extremely quickly. It's hard to get things out in a professional manner. But there's a lot of moving pieces to make sure that people are informed and also able to continue to build and maintain trust with the general populace. And I think we've kind of reached a point where trust is fading, and I would say in that institution at the moment. So that's one reason I think people are burnt out. I also think just the overall state of politics in America, it's been incredibly divisive. People are, between just think of like 2020 was 2 years ago, between pretty much March of 2020 until right now, everything has kind of been in a tailspin. And at some point, you only have so much capacity to care about so many things. And between COVID and the election and the civil unrest, that's really taken a toll on a lot of people, I think. And at some point, you just want to resume some sort of normalcy in your life. And it doesn't really matter. It's kind of like, so I'll drive. Normally I will wear my seatbelt. If I'm driving like short distances around town, I won't always throw it on because I'm on side streets. We're going like 20 miles an hour. I'm like, whatever. Allegedly. I don't speed. But so I will ignore my little seatbelt dinging sign. It's like just dinging in the background. I'm like, I only got like 5 more blocks to drive. It's going to be fine, right? Like you just tune it out. And I kind of feel like that is the point that a lot of Americans are getting to. It's just, they're just done. They're just tuning it out. They don't want to listen anymore. They don't want to think about, they didn't want to think about everything that's been just like thrown at them over the past 2 years. It's just like they've reached their limit. So I don't know. I guess that's kind of my take on it. What about you?
I think America is tuning out because they're starting to see the fabrication of the lie. And I think the lie is been expanded more than it should have been, right? For instance, if you talk with me, I will tell you that I honestly believe coronavirus is real.
Yeah.
I just don't believe the stipulations that are in place are real either.
Right.
So, of course, if I'm sitting there talking, I say, well, it's not real. I'm not saying corona is not real. I'm just saying the stipulations, everything after you said corona is not. Right. Now, I do believe it's just another variant of the flu, which there were a few doctors that came on after a year and a half and said the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't believe this death toll is as high as they are making it out to sound. And when I say that, I say this because before corona was brought forward, a lot of the deaths that we were having were from the older generation, possibly with the flu and other conditions associated with it. So I just think they're just rebranding what's already in place, taking forth. Not to say that corona's not taking nobody out, so I just think that population of corona's taking people out is very small.
Right.
It's not what we are getting the information as what is taking place. Now, I do believe that some Americans are waking up because what I recall when it first happened, I do recall that everybody kept saying, hey, listen to the guidelines that are put in place, this, that, or another. And then when businesses started shutting down and it started altering people's lives, then those same people started questioning, like, why are we doing this? And this doesn't make any sense. But I've always said, if COVID was really what they're making it out to be, nothing would be open right now.
Right.
You know, like we would be in a total shutdown. Like we're back in the stone times. Right. So, and I do believe a lot of people are asking questions and they're waking up and they're starting to see, just like when I talk to certain people, and I'm not going to say any names, but somebody asked me, was I getting the shot? And I told them, no, I wasn't getting the shot. I mean, for me, there's not enough evidence to say me getting that shot is worthy of the reason you're saying, you know, because I am somebody, when I take the flu shot puts me out. I am down for at least a week.
Sure.
And I can actually say that because when I was in the military, we had to get the flu shot every year. And every year I got that flu shot, I was always on quarters for at least 3 days at first. And then I get the extended, you know, extra 3 days of being on quarters. It failed without cause. It was always that reasoning, right?
Yeah.
But when I talk to certain people, they say the flu shot is going to lessen the symptoms for, you know, other people. And if you were to catch it, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because basically what I'm hearing you're telling me is if you take the shot and you catch it, somehow or another, if you were to happen to die, it's going to lessen the whatever reason for your dying. That doesn't make sense to me. You know?
Yeah.
Supposedly, if you got the shot, it's not supposed to be passed around. So is that supposed to be the lessening of the sentence, the symptoms also? Right? Which doesn't make sense to me because if you're vaccinated, you can still catch it and you can still pass it.
Right.
You
So
know?
then what's the purpose of the vaccine?
Yeah, what's the purpose of it? Like I said, that's just how I look at it though.
Right.
And it just doesn't make sense to me. So in another point in a whole different other conversation, when I was talking to somebody, get the booster. Okay, so when COVID first came out, what was the first variant called? Was it just called Corona?
I think, yeah, then like the Alpha.
Then the Delta and all that, but they were
Yeah.
still saying get the booster. So if whatever that vaccinated solution is, you're telling me that these variants came up after the fact and the same solution is going to work for what comes after if they're supposed to be stronger than what was already in place. So like I said, it just doesn't add up to me. So I don't see a reason to move forward with that as of yet. Because for me, the study isn't there.
Right.
know? And I'm a firm believer in the people who are pushing it are the same people that are invested in it. And the stocks are going up. You know, so that's how I look at it. It's a money trail, right? It's just a money scheme for the rich right now, or the people who invested into it, you know?
Yeah.
And
yeah, there's 9 new billionaires at Pfizer since coronavirus. Billionaires, not millionaires, billionaires. Which is crazy.
Wasn't Pfizer like what was that pill they had back in like the early 2000s and 90s?
The heart pill that killed a bunch of people, was that them?
No, not the heart pill. It was like if you went to the doctor and you said you had a pain. Oh man, I can't even think of it right now. But it was like everybody was getting addicted to it.
Oh, trying to like, not Vicodin.
It'll come back to me.
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, but I think Pfizer was big on that one also. You know, so but I do believe all the policies that are being in place right now, as far as what's coming from the CDC, why is the White House constantly saying the same thing over and over again? That leads me to believe that it's more money generated in it as well.
Right.
You know, so like I said, it doesn't make sense, but it does make sense.
Right.
So,
Well, and so it's so funny because I've read things now. It's like Moderna is thinking that there'll be a fourth booster, and I'm like, it's really interesting because when the vaccine card first came out, it has 4 spots on it. So why would there be that many spots unless they were thinking of making additional doses? You know what I mean? Like it was already laid out.
I never seen the vaccination card. And if I did see it, I really didn't pay attention to it. But is it a card that was already in place for something else, or is it a generic use card, or how is that? Because I've heard that saying beforehand, but I don't think whatever this vaccination card was made specifically for COVID. At least I wouldn't think it would be.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so it's funny. I actually pulled my vaccine records because the state of Wisconsin has an online database. I think a lot of states probably do, but they have like an online database where you can go in and see how many vaccines that you've had. And my last one. So it's funny that you mentioned the flu shot. So the last vaccine I took was the flu shot in 2005. I was a freshman in college. And I was lifeguarding at the YMCA in my town. And the year that I got the flu shot, like shortly after, I got the flu and I got super sick. And not only did I get super sick, I got all of the lifeguards that I worked with sick. And we actually ended up shutting down the pool for a day because nobody could come in and work because we all had the flu, thanks to me.
Wow.
And I've never gotten it since. I was like, this is stupid. I am not, and I don't take any prescription medications. I am not saying that they don't do wonders for a lot of people. It's just I have been very anti big pharma for a long time, and I will take Motrin when I absolutely have to, but as far as or if I think I had strep throat probably like 5 or 6 years ago, and I had to go in and take amoxicillin or whatever. So I'm not saying that there aren't needs for that, but by and large, I really try to not put medicine in my body that I don't need to take.
That's how I am. I'm really don't like take medicine at all. And if I do take medicine, it's like the last possible moment I have to.
Right.
And, like when I get a headache, I don't like taking like any type of pills or anything. I'll drink a lot of water. I'll stretch a little bit more. But like a headache can come from many different things. Being constipated could be a reason. Being dehydrated can be a reasoning. The lighting can be a reasoning.
Yeah.
So, whatever your reasoning for getting like a headache or whatever the case may be, I'll try to like mitigate it somehow or another. But I just try not to take medicine and let that be my last resource. I just want it to be my last resource, But the whole, washing of what's taking place within the government and celebrities and all these music video commercials about take the shot, get the booster, and it's crazy. It's getting out of control. It is really getting out of control. So the movies that we was watching in the 90s and the early 2000s, and we said, wow, that's a crazy movie. Now we're living that.
Now it's here.
Yeah, it's here now. So
did you see the story about the teacher down in Texas who took her son to get tested for COVID, but she was afraid of getting COVID from him because she thought he was going to test positive, and she transported him to the testing site in the trunk of her vehicle?
No.
Yeah. Like people are losing their minds like that. I'm like, this is crazy. How did we get here? Yes, I read it a couple of days ago and I was like, this cannot be real. It was on NBC. I was like, no way. Like, this is crazy.
Wow. So first of all, did she get brought up on any charges? Because isn't that like child endangerment?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she got arrested. Let me see if I can find the story.
Wow. That's wow. I don't know what to say about that one. But I mean, honestly, think about it. That kid has to quarantine, and if they're living in the same house, they have an upstairs, downstairs. What, the kid just stays upstairs, she stay downstairs? Or
Right.
if they live in a 2-bedroom apartment, how do they do this?
I don't know.
Man,
Yeah.
But
yeah,
she didn't think that one out. She did not think that one out.
Yeah, it's just crazy. So yeah, it says a Texas teacher was accused of putting her COVID-19 positive son in the trunk of her car to prevent her from being exposed to the virus. The woman faces a charge of child endangerment after she arrived at a COVID-19 testing center with a 13-year-old boy in the trunk of her vehicle.
Man.
Like that's not normal. You know what I mean? It's like, where has normalcy gone? It's well, I don't know.
Since we put the smartphones in our hands and everybody got a hold of the smartphone, I think common sense and decency kind of went out the window.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Like thinking for yourself is no longer a thing. Let somebody else think for you.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, one other thing I heard that was crazy was, somebody told me this. If it was a parent or a teacher gave somebody the COVID shot and they wasn't supposed to, or something like that.
Yes. I think it was a teacher. I think that was in California. I don't totally remember the story, but yeah, it was like a teacher gave the shot to a student, again, like without the parents' consent.
Yeah, this is we living in that time now.
Oh, it's crazy.
What was that old saying? I used to always hear my grandfather say this. Oh, I done seen it all now. That's gonna have to be a continuation because we have yet to scratch the realm of that one.
It's only gonna get weirder.
Yeah, man, oh man, oh man. So now I do know in Georgia and Florida also, the ramping of the COVID sites were expanding. So like more people were going to get tested. And I know somebody complained about like a 5-mile long line.
Oh, wow. For
a COVID site in Atlanta. And it was like, well, I'm not going to do this today. I'll come back tomorrow or another time.
Yeah.
But I saw that one. Where was I at? It was either the grocery store or one of the restaurants I went to. You know, like how they got TV on and everything. Yeah. So it's one of those two places. I can't remember. And when I saw that, I was just like, wow, that's crazy. Wow, this is getting out of control, you know?
Yeah.
But now, of course, you already know, well, let's do this. Let's hop into another quick commercial break. And then we're going to come back. And then I want to talk about some gun rights that are taking place in Georgia. And let's see how this is going to expand out, because other states have been doing the same exact thing. But I have a theory about it also. So, but if everybody will, please stay in your seats. Please head to the restroom if you need to. Get a glass of water or a Coke. And we will be right back after these words from our sponsors.
JM4 Tactical has developed a state-of-the-art polymer holster that will quickly become your go-to holster. With high-quality Herman oak leather securely sewn to the interior of the molded outer bolt-on shell, your draw becomes silent and no more scratches up and down your firearm. When seconds count, you can rest assured that you will have the upper hand when you need it most. Whether you carry open or concealed, the Relic holster is available in 4 different models, fitting over hundreds of different style guns. The new reliable, easy, light, individual carry holster by JM4 Tactical. Order your Relic today at jm4tactical.com.
Hey, this is Brian Conley at Hunters HD Gold. If you've never tried Hunters HD Gold, then I challenge you to find me at a match next year. Go to the website under scheduled events, find out where I'm going to be. Come meet me in person and demo a pair for yourself. Find out why shooters across the United States are changing to Hunter's HD Gold to get 43% more light to their eyes, better contrast, eyes that are not fatigued at the end of the day based on the colors that we use, and find out the real meaning of why they change so you don't have to. So check us out on our website, huntershdgold.com, and I look forward to seeing you at the range soon.
What's up, good people? Thank you for taking the time and listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. Please go visit the M-W Tactical store at www.m-wtactical.com/store and help support our efforts by purchasing a shirt or two. If you haven't done so, go follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for M-W Tactical. All right, good people. Once again, thank you for sitting through that quick commercial break. And before we departed on that commercial break, I wanted to go ahead and bring forth the conversation about Georgia doing something with gun rights. And they're trying to expand the gun rights. Now, part of my theory is that I think the governor received a black eye after the election. So now he has to do something to get back into people's graces to move forward with his legislation. And part of it is, I think he wants Georgia to go to a permitless carry state. So do you think that would be good for the state of Georgia or not? Now, to let you know, when I was stationed in Georgia, the process of getting a CWP was very easy. And when I say very easy, it was nothing more than filling out an application. Where I was stationed at Fort Benning in the city of Columbus, Georgia, you just had to go down to the state building with your application, pay $50, get fingerprinted, and a week or so later, your CWP will arrive in the mail. Now, by being a resident of Georgia, you also have the option of open carry, but you have to be a resident there. So by Georgia possibly doing the whole permitless carry, how do you think that's going to affect anything as far as people visiting, coming there for work, or, whatever the other reasoning is?
Yeah, I don't think it'll change a whole lot. I think people, I don't know. I mean, I feel like for me going there, I don't feel like that would change anything. I don't feel like I would feel less safe. I don't feel like I would be more concerned about gun violence or anything like that. So for me personally, I don't think that it would deter me from visiting. It might actually be a draw for some other people to move there, especially as obviously the firearms debate continues to just to rage on in our country. So it might, I guess, persuade some some more adamant 2A folks to pack up and move to Georgia, but I don't really know if it would deter people from going there. But that's me. I can't speak for everyone, obviously, but I wouldn't be afraid to go.
Well, you already know I'm pro gun, pro firearm. I don't like to say just gun.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And in that same sense, I don't believe in open carry, because I think depending on the situation or the person involved and a firearm is already displayed, it can go either way. I do believe that a lot of people don't know how to de-escalate a situation, because a lot of us was raised in the form of, if somebody brings it to you, you finish it. So we don't know how to pump the brakes and put it in reverse and go the opposite direction, whereas more people like to press forward with it.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that this is a bad thing, so even when I lived in Georgia, I seen a lot of people open carry, but there was never no instances that took place that made the news that I was aware of. And just like other states around the country with different state laws, because the demographics in those areas are very different as well.
Right.
But I was on a panel last week, and the panel was with my buddy. His name was John Anderson. His podcast is Get Off of My Lawn podcast.
Okay.
And this panel, it was a few people on there that actually expressed that open carry can bring forth a positive conversation, and show people like, hey, look, there's no harm, there's no thing. It was more like an advertisement rule of exercising your rights to carry. I had a lot of reservations what I wanted to say, but the length of the show, I didn't want it to go down a rabbit hole of a debate. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But, we sat back and we talked after the show for a little bit. But my stance of it was, I believe when you carry a firearm, a lot of people get that imaginary courage, in a sense of speaking.
Sure.
Because now they got that Superman cape on, but if they didn't have the firearm on them, would they do or say certain things without the firearm on them, regardless if it was open carry or concealed carry? I believe a lot of people who do decide to open carry, they look at it as a deterrent to the possibility of what could happen.
Mm-hmm.
My brother, he brought up a point when we had a conversation by him living out in California. He thinks that California should adopt an open carry stance. I'm totally against it, and needless to say, what I'm about to say, I can shoot myself in the foot with this one. Not literally, but just off of what I'm about to say. Now, when I see someone with a firearm, open carry status, especially when I was down in Georgia, you didn't have to go to any type of class to get that permit, right? Now, if I see you with a firearm, I don't know what your training experience is. So now, do I have to be like standing more behind a wall if you decide to pull it out, something like that? But what about the same thing about somebody who concealed carry? Because, like here in South Carolina, you sit through a class that can last up to 8 hours, because it's minimum at least 6 hours to get your concealed weapons permit. But you're only doing the shooting portion for that class for maybe 30 minutes to an hour. And for a lot of people who get their CWP in South Carolina, that's where their training stops.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you come to that sweet median with these laws where states are passing permitless carry? Because now what about the person, male or female, who now just turned 21? They probably went to the range 1 or 2 times in their life, and they don't know how to actually take the firearm from safe. They don't practice proper finger discipline. They don't know how to properly aim, right? And that's always been a concern for me. Whenever I've seen somebody with a firearm, we just don't know, unless you hold a conversation with somebody, or, like, for instance, I'll see somebody out in public who I am familiar with, who I know shoots all the time. I'm more at ease. But somebody who I don't know, now I'm not. So I'm a little bit more reserved. I'm a little bit more paying attention to what they're doing, what they're saying, to come to a conclusion of, okay, this person might be a little bit more responsible than the other person.
Yeah.
You see like how the scale kind of gets kind of like, okay, you're talking in a circle now, in a sense of speaking.
Yeah, that is interesting. I personally think you have to do like your own due diligence. I don't have much faith in any sort of like quote unquote training institutions. Look at how many people are just stupid and they went through the public education system. Like it really has very little to do with the institution that you're getting the training from, and taking matters into your own hands to get educated on your own time. Now, that's not to say that people don't do that. I know a lot of people who graduated from high school and that was the end of their education. That was it. And that's them. So I think that's like a larger, yes, obviously that applies to firearms and concealed carry and getting a permit, but it's sort of the same concept, really. Like, the training is only as good as the people who are training you, and the students are only as good as the continued education that they're willing to take on. So I don't know if the permit really makes them better necessarily, because I mean, in theory it should, but I don't know if that's, I think it's more of a feel good thing. Like, oh, well, they went to the class, so they know something more than someone else, but maybe not.
Yeah, but now that backs up the same theory of getting the shot, what you just said. It's more of a feel good thing. Oh, you got the shot, so
makes you
safe.
feel safe.
Yeah, exactly. So like I said, it goes back into that whole the dog chasing his own tail. Yeah.
That's so true though. Yeah, that is interesting though. But the problem is I mean, look at how taboo. So Wisconsin's an open carry state, and that I grew up with that, and like even like seeing people when I was younger at some of the, like you see them on the news at some different rallies and things like that, like carrying their ARs and just looking like tough guys and all that stuff. And so for me, it's like I grew up seeing that stuff, so I guess I'm not opposed to it necessarily, but I do think a lot of it is like, who's controlling the conversation on gun culture? Like, it's not necessarily people like you and I and other people who we know are doing good things in the community. It's people who have a very big vendetta against the Second Amendment. So it's it's an uphill battle for sure, because we're the odd man out. We're not following the rules that the media overlords want us to be following.
That's very true. And even when you turn around and you look at it, let's take it back to the Western days, whereas everybody had a firearm on their hip, but they didn't have a semi-automatic, but they did have the 6-shooter.
Yeah.
And the only time people pulled it out, those firearms out, was when they had a problem.
Right.
And look how society was formed back then. I'm a firm believer also in, is a saying, and I can't remember where I heard this saying at also. Peace times makes harder men, but harder times make men and society softer.
Yeah, it's like a 4-step thing. It's like the hard times create good men create. Yeah, I should find that. It's a really good.
Yeah, so like it's been a long time. I came across that not even a month ago, and I was like, you know what, that is true. Another saying that's even close to that is, and this was somebody from the Saudi Arabian royalty said it, like he rode a camel, his dad rode a camel, but the generation next was riding Mercedes, and it shows like how it's making them softer or something like that.
Yeah, it's hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times.
Right. There you have it.
And we are definitely in the weak men making hard times space.
Oh yeah. But like we already said, like a couple episodes ago, every powerful society only lasts between 400 to 600 years.
If that, that's
we're right now at that point in our society, meaning America is at that point. Like we're at that time frame where it's okay, is it going to crumble or are we going to make this stronger?
So I know actually one of my friends texted me over Christmas, and he's a big like finance guy. He's a hedge fund manager, and him and his wife live out in Michigan, and he he knows I'm into all like the end of the world conspiracies, things like that. But he sent me a screenshot of this book that he said he's reading, and it's called The Changing World Order: Why Nations Succeed and Fail, and it's by Ray Dalio. And he basically in this book kind of outlines the study of fallen empires. And this author has basically said that, you know, we are in the late phases of the US empire, and the basically the big kind of takeaways for you know, for fixing where we're currently at and where we're currently headed is changing the education structure, and then the basically reliance on government. So right now we have an education system that really doesn't teach people how to be self-sufficient and sets them up to be basically debt slaves for a big chunk of their life.
Oh, yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? And then also like the continued welfare state just keeps expanding. So unless we really turn those two things around, we are headed for the same fate that all of the great empires before us also faced.
Oh yeah. When I turn around and I look at it, the whole student loans for college, that's a racket.
Yeah, big time.
Of course, now, like when I went to school, they taught us how to do taxes, taught us how to balance a checkbook, but it wasn't a long stint when I was in school either. It wasn't something like that was ongoing. You know, it was just, okay, we're going to show you how to do this. That was it. Now, when you went to school, did they even do that? Taxes and balancing a checkbook and talking financial literacy in school in any type of way?
No. Well, we learned about taxes if you took government and law, which I did as an elective, but that was the only class, and it was one semester. I think it was junior, senior year of high school. So it was like one class on that. You know what I mean? So, and the budgeting said we never had a financial literacy class. Yeah. That never happened. And now I teach it because now I know it. So now I actually have my own course on it because I think it is really important. But I didn't learn it till I was in my late 20s.
Yeah. So now let's look at it wherever you live at in the country. So why isn't there more classes geared to the industries in that area? Now, I do remember we had a program called DECA, and that was more about getting into the workforce.
Sure.
Then, of course, you know, you had home economics, whereas you did learn how to cook, bake, and, you know, somewhat survive a little bit.
Right.
You had a workshop class, and these are all classes I took when I was in school. You know? You had a wood shop class, you know, whereas you learn how to, you know, make stuff from wood. Mm-hmm. But I think technology is taking over and it's kind of washing away the basics and the fundamentals.
Yeah.
But we need to get back there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and without understanding the basics or fundamentals, you're going to be lost in a society, because now that goes back to the whole, if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going.
Right.
You know, and perfect example of, if you don't know, how can you question it? How can you move forward? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And now you're just the sheep being led.
Right.
You know, so what do you do? Where do you go? How do you solve it? But you do have to actually tell people you have to get proactive. You have to do the research. You have to read. You have to read between the lines. You just can't listen to somebody talk. You have to do the research yourself.
Right.
You know,
it's true, and it's exhausting, but it's worthwhile. I think if there was anything that I could tell anyone, it's like, do your own research on everything, not just, what's going on right now, but like do your own research on history, do your own research on things that interest you, right? Like there's just so many things that we just take at face value because that's what we've been told, or that's what our parents told us, or this church that I used to go to, this pastor would tell this story, and I always thought it was so funny. And it was this family that would get together for Christmas every year, and this was like the daughter's first time baking the Christmas ham, and she's in the kitchen, and her mom is like, oh, you got to make sure you cut the butt off the ham before you put it in the oven. And she's like, okay, like I'll do that. So she cooks the ham, and now that it's several Christmases later, and it's the whole family, and the daughter's there, mom's there, the grandma's there, and they're in the kitchen. And the daughter asked the grandma, she's like, we've been using your recipe all these years. She's like, we always make sure that we cut the butt off the end of the ham. And grandma's like, oh, you guys still do that? I just did it because the ham didn't fit in the pan.
Yeah, that's funny right there. I knew that was going somewhere like that. I just didn't know which direction it was going to go. But that is pretty funny.
Yeah, but it's true though. Like, think of all the things that we do just because it's been passed down to us, and we don't even know the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, you don't question it. It's just, well, it worked, so just do it.
Right.
And I think if you don't question a lot of things, it's going to be the end to whatever it could be.
Yeah.
Now I do know, depending on what you do for work or whatever the case may be, a lot of times when I used to do things, I used to always want to know the why. But I'm also a firm believer in, if you understand and know the why, you're going to be a stronger, productive unit for whatever work you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that. But a lot of times when you ask the why, people get confrontational with you also.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever noticed that shift in society also.
Right.
So I'm like, how does that go? But it is what it is. It's life, and we got to learn. And of course, whenever there's one change, we got to change two different other ways to prepare for the possible impact of whatever's to come.
Right. That's true.
Oh yeah. So now I did do another competition this past weekend that just passed us. Right. So I went up to Salisbury, North Carolina, shot it with my buddy John from Outdoor Dynamics, and he called me out on a bet. So he shot a different division. So I'm thinking, okay, well, if he's shooting production, he's giving me the advantage in the sense of speaking, because production can only have 10 rounds in the firearm. When I start off, I got 20 rounds in my firearm. So I'm like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, but you gotta go back Thursday to the M-W Tactical YouTube channel this coming Thursday and see what took place. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, I was more like, oh, okay. That's all I'm gonna say. Maybe that's a cliffhanger.
Ooh, I like
it. Yeah. So anything else been going on for you over the break? Did you research anything else, or you plan on doing any new projects? Did you play with the sub 2000 anymore?
Ooh, I did, and I finally got my AR. So, but we should talk about that on the next show.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely do that. We will definitely talk about that. So, what about the pie? I have to ask, did moms make another pie for you?
No, well, I mean, we made a boatload of Christmas cookies that I think we're still like sifting through. But no official Christmas dessert.
Now, when I was a kid, when I discovered chocolate covered peanuts, man, I was like, man, there's no reason to buy any other type of candy no more. Just chocolate covered peanuts. That's all you need. Now, of course, like I said, over the course of years, I dove into the Kit Kats, the Reese's peanut butter cups, Three Musketeers. But I like my chocolate frozen though. All my candy, I got to put in the freezer because I like chocolate frozen. So I just revisited the relationship between me and chocolate covered peanuts. And you remember, I just started back working out also. So I don't know how this relationship is going to last. So, the other day I did like 1,000-something sit-ups. And I'm thinking about those chocolate covered peanuts, but my body's going to tell me something different. My mind's telling me no. My body. Yeah, so I'm gonna see how this is going to work out because, like I said, I was like, just saw, I don't know what it was, but I just said, okay, let me dive into it once again. And I've already went through like about 4 bags of them. So, it's bad. But you got any closing discussion points you want to make before we take off and get back to the week of work until next week?
I think. No, I don't think so. I mean, stay warm if you're in the Midwest.
Yeah, most definitely.
It's not warm. And just keep learning. That's all, like the world is forever changing and evolving, and find interesting books and interesting articles and find people that continue to challenge your viewpoints. And it's good to get out of the echo chamber. I think we're very much creating spaces for ourselves where everyone just thinks and acts and believes like we do. So I think one of the things this year is just trying to find really just finding unity in things that we may not be agreeing on everything, but what do we agree on and what can we agree on? So that's something just to ponder for the week, I suppose.
I got you on that one. But as far as me, like I said, I'm just diving back into the shooting realm of things. All the issues were worked out, and the past 2 matches have been very fun since there's no major hiccups like I've been having.
Yeah.
But please visit the M-W Tactical YouTube page, subscribe, because we're still going to do the giveaway once we hit 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube M-W Tactical YouTube channel. So I think right now we're roughly at 700. So, and I didn't put very much attention into YouTube like I should have back in the day. I was putting more efforts into Instagram. But please head on over to the M-W Tactical YouTube channel, subscribe, and every Thursday is either going to be a product review video or a match review video, whereas I talk about the match at that range I've been to. Now, throughout the week, what I will do is I will put up a stage a day that I shot at that match, and I'll put in the comments or the description what my thoughts were at that moment. But if you will, though, just head on over there and check it out and tell me what you think in the process of. But in the meantime, please head on over to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, and Tumblr and do a search for @M_W Tactical. Give us a like, follow, subscribe, and it will be very much appreciative. And if you will, go ahead and follow Rockstar Burst at
you can find me on Instagram at Rockstar Burst, BERST. That's where I spend most of my time these days.
That is it right there. So, but I do find that the engagement on Instagram more fun than
Yeah.
the other social media platforms.
Yeah.
You know, some of the conversations on YouTube are pretty interesting as well. but you can't link those together like you can the other ones. So, but it is what it is. So, but if you have nothing else, once again, everyone, welcome back. And 2021 is in the books. So let's make 2022 a blast and enjoyous. And let's see how this year is going to pan out for us. But until next week, keep shooting, keep practicing, and have fun. Y'all take care. Be safe out there.